that you're not going to open up your pocketbook and turn it all over to them.
In 1947, Kramer was ranked #1 in the world. The previous year, he'd lost to Drobny in the men's final, but this year he faced fellow American Tom Brown.
In fact, Tom and I were good friends. We won Wimbledon the year before. I brought some steaks over and had them stored in a meat market around from the Rembrandt Hotel. And Tom and I were so close that not only did I share my steaks with him in the morning before we went out to play, but we actually warmed up together on a side court. And the only disturbing factor about that whole match, and it was very one-sided, I think, was the fastest final that I can find. Tommy didn't play very well, is we got a sort of what I'd call a bad break. The king and queen were coming out. It was the first visit by the king since he played there in 20 years before in 27. And there was about a 15-minute delay. And, you know, a final at Wimbledon is sort of like going in, you know you're going to go to a fight, and it's going to start at 2 o'clock. We were ready to go, getting our rackets and so forth ready, and they put a hold on us. His Royal Highness hasn't showed up, so we're going to delay this a few minutes. And that was the hardest thing to overcome, because Brown and I were both terrible at the beginning. It was all nerves. But I got over my nerves, and Tom never did hit a ball. And I think we played about 43 minutes, and I sort of achieved one of my ambitions.
1947 was Jack Kramer's most successful year. He not only won the Wimbledon doubles title, but most of the major U.S. championships. Later that year, he turned pro, plunging into the tough commercial world of professional tennis.
You know, it's a funny thing. Back in the early 40s, I never realized that I would end up wanting to make my life work sort of promoting the game of tennis and being around it and making it a bigger sport, because it's a great sport. But to do that, you sort of have to organize things. And my first attempt to organize something was what I thought was an unfair situation in the national doubles in Boston. When you played normal tennis in the old days as an amateur, and if you were good enough, you usually got some help financially in the form of transportation, or when you'd go to a tournament, they'd either put you up in a private home or a hotel sometimes. But when you got into national championships, there was no help for anybody, because everybody paid their own way. And so I decided that wasn't fair. So, being a little aggressive, I got a hold of Bobby Riggs and Frank Parker and Bitsy Grant and Ted Schroeder and the players of the day in the tournament before the national doubles, and I said, will you fellas back me, because I'm going to challenge the USTA. If they don't put up 10 teams that we can select, that's only 20 young men, and they're mostly collegiate players, let's threaten a strike and see what happens. Well, the USTA sort of thought I was bluffing, and I assured them that I wasn't. And so in the end, they did find 10 homes where they could put up 10 different doubles teams, and it proved a point that if you want to try to make some changes in your sport, like tennis, and if you get the backing of the players or the people that count, the people on the other side of the table listen to you. We weren't asking for much, but it really did show me that you organize the players, you can do something nice for the game.
Jack Kramer's successful action on that occasion in 1941 was the first of many. On the tough pro circuit, he rapidly developed a reputation as an equally tough negotiator on behalf of his fellow players. But it was the chamateurs of the stuffy, class-ridden traditional game which disturbed him most.
The game that was played, known as amateur tennis, but it had chamateurism to it, was a necessity. The officials wanted to control the players, and yet the players needed money, so the officials turned their back. And what you would have to do is, in the off period, you'd play as much tennis as you could, any place you could, and you'd get extra money for it. Nobody would even bother you. And then you could afford to carry your expenses during the legitimate season. But you had to get money any way you could, because there was no legitimate way through the chamateur part of it. And it was a deceitful thing. We were always thinking, golly Moses, it takes $7,000 or $8,000 to live, to own a car, to pay your expenses, and you're not reporting anything for the income tax, because if you admitted you earned the money, why then they would throw you out of the game for being a professional. So we were walking a fine line. It was unhealthy. And the greatest thing that happened to everybody, you know, in all ways, was in 1968 they went to honest tennis, which is open tennis.
Come, be yourself. Put play back in your life. Relax in the satisfaction of self-improvement. Experience the pure joy of trusting again. Come to elegance without stiffness. Award-winning cuisine. all on the beach of Longboat Key near Sarasota, on Florida's Gulf of Mexico. The Colony Beach and Tennis Resort. Call your travel agent or 1-800-4COLONY. The Colony Beach and Tennis Resort. Come, be yourself.
A young couple came into my office today, wanted to buy their first home, and it reminded me of why I first went into real estate and why I'm an ERA broker. Sure, I earn good money, but ERA has the products and the services to help me build relationships and trust. If you're interested in the real estate business, talk to an ERA broker, because with ERA, you're more than a salesperson. You're a trusted friend. Guess that's why I think there's no better place to do business than ERA. ERA, first in service.
Jack Kramer was one of the most successful players of his generation, yet it is for his work with the Association of Tennis Professionals in their battles with the game's officialdom that he is best remembered today.
The ATP was formed out of a sort of a peace merger between the ITF tournaments and Lamar Hunt's WCT. The ITF traded some time, and WCT agreed not to sign players to contracts. The minute all those great players, I'm talking about the Labors, Rosewalls, Gonzalez, you name them all at the time, were released from contracts from Lamar, who had taken over incidentally from the other promotional group, the players did not want to get back under the dominating thumb of their national associations. So they decided to form a player association, and it was going to be called the Association of Tennis Professionals. Arthur Ashe was a prime mover, Cliff Drysdale, Johnny Newcomb. And they were looking around for somebody with some experience that might be able to help them through the early years. And I didn't want to be part of the picture. I'd fought the battles, and I was happy about open tennis. And I saw that this was a big issue for the players, but eventually they convinced me that if I would get them started, it would give them a little credibility when they sat down to discuss big issues with the Wimbledons of the world.
The big issue of the day took place in London in 1973, prompted by the suspension of ATP member Nicky Pilic by his national federation. Following an unsuccessful high court action against the ban, the ATP opted for a Wimbledon boycott.
The Wimbledon boycott is the saddest moment of my tennis life, even more dramatic than maybe losing to drop in 46. The main reason is that it was sort of didn't have to happen. We formed our player association. A lot of people were worried that if the players ever got together, they would be sort of aggressive and they'd be talking about too much prize money, too much control, in other words. So the ITF, the International Tennis Federation, I think decided to put a test to us. And the first case that came up where they could find out, can they control the players if they want to use their rules, was Nicky Pilic. And what they said, in effect, was Nicky Pilic will not play for the Yugoslav Davis Cup team. He's violating the spirit of his country, and therefore they're invoking a certain rule which said Yugoslavia says he's not in good standing, so no tournaments around the world that belong to the International Tennis Federation can allow him to play. Wimbledon was caught in the middle. And it became an issue whereby the top players who didn't want to let the National Association control them had to say, in effect, fellas, if we don't follow through with the boycott of Wimbledon, they'll push us around the rest of our careers, and it got to be on that level.
During the boycott, Kramer was violently attacked by the British press and later sacked by the BBC as their Wimbledon commentator. Yet it was the stand taken by the ATP that effectively created open tennis throughout the world. Kramer retired from the ATP in 1975. As one of the game's most successful promoters, he once owned 15 of the world's top 20 players. Today, he concentrates on golf at a course he himself partly owns and which is managed by one of his 5 sons. And yet his thoughts are seldom far from tennis.
The game has treated me great. I'm very, very lucky financially. I'm working on a problem. What is wrong with the players? Now, I might be wrong, but I'm trying to find out what's going on, and when I come to a decision, I'm going to be out there trying to sell the players and the tournament promoters and the officials on the right course of action. Well, fellas, it looks like we can increase the north course from a 71 to a 72, and what we're going to do is take that hill down and push it into that valley there, which will make it a straight shot. It's about 410-yard hole. And it'll give us all the fairway on this side of the cart path to open up number 9 to be a number 4 par instead of number 3. We use a couple of lakes in there, and I think it'll be actually improved 3 different holes.
230 yards long.
And I have never hit the thing once. There's got to be something wrong. So we're helping everybody, especially your old man.
That's a long 3 with a small green.
Yo.
While he still finds time to improve his golf course, Kramer's real concern remains tennis, not least how he, one of its most celebrated exponents, is best remembered.
I really think that people have failed to think of Jack Kramer in how good a tennis player he was, that I've been involved in so many things. My racket is much more famous than myself. I've been with a company for a long, long time. Obviously, we have a very successful marriage, or we wouldn't still be talking to each other after all these years. But I find out that after being off the court so long, people forget that it wasn't easy to be an amateur champion and beat everybody you had to beat, but to go on and beat Bobby Riggs, who was the professional champion, to beat a man named Pancho Gonzalez, who won the 2 great championships after I turned professional, beat him handily. And Pancho Segura was a nice victory for me, but I was always a better player than Pancho. But beating Frank Sedgman after he won 2 U.S. championships in Wimbledon in 1952, for me to beat him in 53 and do the business, do the promotion, and still come on top of that tour, that's my best achievement. But totally, I think that my record as a professional, which is nowhere in the record books at all because they didn't consider professional tennis as part of the game, has been completely lost. And so I love to talk about it, and I love to have people know that I was not a racket and not a promoter, but one hell of a good tennis player.
In 1969, 4 friends were dedicated to peace, love.
I love you, man.
And
marijuana. What do they want it for? Draft evasion, conspiring to undermine the government of the United States.
We got to drop out of San Luis. We're under some very serious attack.
Fred and Jesus split for a utopian society.
Planted our grass.
We smoked the grass.
You've been stoned for 20 years.
Now they're back.
I mean, you still look like dirty, filthy hippies.
And in for a rude awakening.
You missed everything. Watergate, Ford, Carter, the hostage crisis.
I own tanning salons.
Hey, how do you get the sun to shine just on those guys who pay, man?
I'm getting these. I don't care about my planet vibes.
What are we gonna do?
We're taking over the campus.
Cheech Marin, Eric Roberts, Julie Haggerty, and Robert Carradine give peace a chance one more time. Rude Awakening. This month on Cinemax.
Sunday night, batting champion Tony Gwynn trails in his quest for a 5th title. He mounts his charge as the Padres face the Astros. It's Sunday Night Baseball, live at 8 Eastern on ESPN. Baseball tonight.
Bubka is currently the world's greatest pole vaulter and the first athlete in history to vault over 6 meters.
I think that if one wants to achieve only average results, then it is better not to be in training at all. But if you decide to enter into sport, then you devote your life to it. You should look at sport creatively. You should put your soul into the kind of sport you are doing in order to show the maximum result. And this attitude would be useful after you have finished with the sport.
Sergei Bubka, now 24, is Russian. He's the son of a Ukrainian soldier. He was born in Donetsk, but left home at 15 to train full-time as an athlete.
When the train moved off, Sergei was looking through the window. I said to him, "Son, darling, look at me." But he would not turn his head because he felt bad about leaving me here alone.
It was at this special school that Bubka acquired a technical skill far beyond his years. Despite a disappointing start to his international career at the European Indoor Championship in 1981, he won gold at the 1983 World Championships, amply demonstrating a remarkable maturity and dedication to his sport.
Sport taught me how to be independent, since I left home when I was 15 years old. I was in my 9 to 10 forms and I had to study without any assistance.
Я заканчивал 9-10 класс уже самостоятельно. И на тренировках, конечно.
Very often my coach would go away with some older boys and he would leave me alone with a training plan. Some guys would find time to skive off, but I wouldn't. It was very important to understand what you're training for, what your aim is in sport. From 15 years of age, my main purpose in life was to achieve the best in sport.
It was at the Olympics in Rome in 1984 that he faced his first major competition. In an epic duel with Thierry Vénérand, the Frenchman first broke the world record, his 5th in 5 years. Undaunted, Bubka himself then broke Thierry's world record with a vault of 5.94 meters, thus securing the gold. By 1985, Bubka felt capable of clearing 6 meters, a confidence acquired as the result of a rigorous training schedule he shared with his elder brother, Vasily, himself a talented pole vaulter. Together, they developed a technique that relied on strength and stamina as much as skill.
As a pole vaulter, he is very strong. I think the whole world knows him as a great pole vaulter. He's very popular, but as a competitor, well, a competition is a competition. But it is difficult to compete together since I think and worry about my brother, as well as about myself.
Paris, 1985. In July of that year, Bubka achieved the ultimate by clearing 6 meters with a vault that astonished the world. Later that week, Paris officially recognized the remarkable achievement of the young Russian athlete, placing him securely in the record books for all time. Back in Russia, Bubka trains with the Soviet team, laying the physical foundation for a technique remarkable for its finesse and consistency.
It's the result of many years of training which began in 1974. So the consistency of my results, the level of achievements attained from 1983 are due to the many years of preparation. That training was meant for many future years of competition, not just for 1 year. And now it enables me to get the results that I get.
Although not an active member of the Young Communists, Bubka is a loyal Soviet citizen, preferring, however, to dedicate his achievements not to the state, but to his family.
Well, in principle, any result in a competition I always dedicate to my children or my mother, my family. I think this helps me very much. That's why I train hard and try to get high results in order to please the people close to me.
I'd like to place an order.
We interrupt this order.
On page 61.
For something else that delivers.
I don't like that.
The card that actually pays you cash back for every charge.
It's a gift.
The Discover card.
What'd you do for lunch? Just a little shopping.
It pays to discover the card that pays you back. The Volvo 240 has a reputation for surviving accidents, and we at Subaru have always been impressed by that. So we gave the Subaru Legacy wagon unibody construction, like the Volvo 240. But we also gave it full-time four-wheel drive and anti-lock brakes, because the best way to survive an accident is not to get into one.
See your Subaru dealer for savings on the Subaru Legacy L automatic sedan with the Value Plus package.
Excuse me. Are those Bugle Boy jeans that you're wearing?
Why, yes. They are Bugle Boy jeans.
Thank you.
There are those who thirst for something different. Something beyond the ordinary. For them, there is a beer that refreshes like no other. Michelob Dry. Once you've experienced its bold taste with no aftertaste, there's no going back.
This month.
Lapland, and the unlikely location for a factory that manufactures quality poles. Assuming, of course, that Sergei and his companions can survive the journey itself. In the 19th century, vaulters used heavy wooden poles, usually of ash or hickory, later switching to bamboo. In the early part of this century, they began to use glass fiber. Today, glass fiber sheets developed by NASA and imported from Houston are wrapped around steel mandrels, then baked. The steel core is later removed, leaving a pliable yet highly tensile fiber pole.
The pole is a piece of sports equipment that helps sportsmen to achieve good results. A pole and a sportsman are inseparable. You always hope that you are going to get a good, strong, reliable pole. When you look at it, you hope that it is going to help you to achieve high results. Such a high grip, approximately 5.12 meters or 5.15 meters, is quite normal for me. Many of my rivals consider that it is on account of this that I achieve such high results, but they are wrong. The high grip actually reveals my technique and physical abilities. Therefore, for me, it's a normal grip, which helps me to achieve such a high results.
In a world dominated by technology, the quality of the pole is itself carefully monitored, yet Bubka's achievements are clearly visible. To date, he has broken 17 world records in a short yet dramatic career, remarkable for its consistency. Sergei Bubka has come a long way since leaving his family home in the Ukraine. Today, he enjoys the privileges that any famous Soviet athlete is entitled to, and yet he has lost none of his dedication or drive. His rival, Thierry Veneron, seen here playing tennis with him following their battle at the World Championships last year, is still a formidable threat. This is enough to cause Bubka to train even harder in order to maintain his position as the world's top pole vaulter.
I think I have a good training. Physically, I am very well developed. I have good speed. I understand very well what my coach expects from me and try to perform my jumps technically correct. I combine these essential qualities with a good psychological state of mind, which can change during the competition regardless of the way it's going at the time. That is what helps me get good results. In the case of competitions, it is always a complicated psychological struggle. Yesterday's competition was one of this kind. It was a case of who will prevail. And I am very happy that I managed to win again. Even so, every time it requires hard work.
His training paid off, for at Seoul last year he won the gold with a vault of 5.90 meters, beating his other rival, Radion Gatulin. Bubka's talent was discovered early, yet like the children he sometimes trains, he himself is still young. At Seoul, he tried unsuccessfully to clear 6.10 meters, which in the non-metric world is a staggering 20 feet. Who knows in the years to come what heights Sergei Bubka might achieve. Whatever happens, his popularity will endure.
This is ESPN, the Total Sports Network.